I'm Karina. I'm on a 2-year MA Applied Imagination program. I've started in January, so I've only been here a couple of months. And today I'm going to talk to you about my creative process and the skeleton of a vision that I'd like to devote myself to. Yeah, here we go. It's about climate. I'm throwing myself at climate. So it starts with a bit of a personal story. I was lucky enough to see natural degradation firsthand about a year ago. And I saw, you can see, you don't need to squint to see plastic and garbage all over a biosphere reserve. This is 10 kilometers south of Tulum, where everybody's having a really good time and flushing everything down the toilet, and it's ending up in the biosphere. And so what you see is plastic everywhere. The shorelines rose by 5 meters in a couple of years. There are fires in the jungle by the sea, and the biosphere itself is understaffed, underfunded, and all of this is happening just a few miles down from touristic development and foreigners coming there to go to paradise. So it was extremely moving. I was very moved. I've never seen this before. Being a city person, here you think you know what's going on in the world, and when you actually get there, it's shocking. So I was so moved that I decided to leave my high-flying corporate job, which I was having at the time, to become an environmental activist. And because also emotion, I was so overflowing with emotions that the first thing I started doing was making art. As I just don't know what to do with it because I felt so small and so unable to make a difference. So this is the second iteration of what I did. I started with natural objects, combining the natural and the mystical. And this is the second iteration, which is a meditation on what a beach might be like, this beautiful sunrise where you could actually appreciate the cleanliness of the sea and honor nature. But something greater was needed. It's one thing to express myself, and it's another thing to get 1 million people to do small acts of change. So I decided to investigate climate change, and it's a very, very, very complex issue that will require global, radical collaboration, very clear communication, because climate has a communication problem, scalable solutions, and regenerative action, as well as embracing the tools and technologies that can help us get there. And yet, I also found in my research that only 2% of donations, philanthropic donations, go to climate mitigation. So there's almost $500 billion was donated in 2020 to all sorts of causes, and only 8 went to climate, which is a little bit, I found that quite shocking. On top of that, data and very interesting information is buried in 1,000-page reports that people, consumers, so to speak, do not read, and charts and all these, pie charts and all sorts of things are not really telling them much. On top of it, people actually don't know, studies show, people don't know what actually moves the needle, what ecological action is helping, and which one is less helping. And on top of it, it's very hard to change habits, old dog, new tricks, forget it. And that topic of behavior change and affecting an individual heart really started to I got obsessed over it. How do you change someone's behavior? What do you do? Well, years of scientific research confirm that emotions, first and foremost, emotions are the most pervasive driver of behavior change. 90% of all of our activities and actions that we do are emotionally based. So I had to strike at the heart, so to speak. And in essence, as what I say is, to ignite behavior change, one must ignite people's imaginations and their hearts. So I turned to art and the artistic community. Art, by its very subjective nature, is an emotive communication. It has the power to move mountains, so to speak, and to deliver really emotive messages. So it can move mountains, and it has moved mountains. And on top of it, my favorite media theorist, Marshall McLuhan, also a fellow Canadian, also says that art is a little bit of a futures indicator. You know, whatever happens in the art world is beginning to tell the culture what's going to happen to it. You know, a lot of innovation and whatnot is expressed through art. So it's the antenna of the world. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe we can do something with this. And actually, art has a history of activism, environmental activism, and socio-political change. So this is actually first ever Earth Day poster by Robert Rauschenberg, who was asked, you know his art in many different ways, but he was asked to do a poster. Over 10,000 copies were sold and donated to environmental causes. And this is actually one of the first times that the people en masse were learning about these issues that the industry was doing and affecting on nature. And in my research as well, as I was reading more and more and trying to understand eco-art and its role in making change happen, I was struck by this quote. The 21st century responses to environmental degradation lack the revolutionary zeal that originally inspired them. And that's very interesting because we would think we're being very activist and we're doing a lot of things happen, but clearly maybe it's not enough. There's something more that we could do. So that's what I would like to do with my project. I would like to bring a little bit more revolutionary zeal into the issue, and ignite the hearts of the next generation, or ourselves, yourselves, us here, to try and make something happen. So I have a bit of here is the question. How might we engage creative communities and leverage emerging Web3 technologies? If somebody asks me why, I can explain why technology is necessary to support global regenerative projects to mitigate climate change. So the vision is quite big because we don't have much time. So we need to find things that are scalable and that work. So that we can go from here, that red stuff is CO2 emissions, to here. The reason this happened is this is when, well, I'll move on in the interest of time, but I can tell you more. Here's the framework. So what I would like to do is I would like to combine climate debate, so this is the climate information, the narratives, the art, the striking at the heart, with environmental activism, which means doing something. Because historically, if I look at art, a lot of art is climate debate, and also lobbying, governmental conversations. It's just conversations and talking and talking and talking. There isn't enough doing. There are activists, but they're busy doing. They're not there in the media eye, talking about what they're doing. So how can we combine them both? To drive regenerative action that is very positive for all of us so that we could, have another 30, 50, 100 years on this planet. And how can all of this be powered and enabled and multiplied and scaled and sped up by climate neutral Web3 technologies? Before you tell me about Ethereum, I know. Using things like smart contracts, NFTs, DAOs, and on-chain carbon credits. I mean, let's not talk about it today, but there is some thought that went into it. Things are going to happen online as well as offline. Offline is going to be mission critical. How do I plan to approach this? As I mentioned already, climate narratives and education is key. So people need to understand what is the most important action. Community building is super, super mega important. That's why I'd love to talk to you ladies, because the archetypes and what you proposed is interesting around how to build a community and the roles around it. So this is about gathering the like-minded individuals who are pollinators and all right and have specific roles and missions in this global community. It's about earth partnerships, I call them. So I've already lined up landowners, contacts, with forests and national parks, wherever, because I'm focusing on the forests right now as the first step for this particular project, but more partnerships with actual doers who are digging in the ground and wherever, or cleaning the rivers. It is doing these ecological activities. So I'm not here to sit online and have these Zoom talks with everybody. The idea is to also take everybody out into the forest. Let's go in the forest and we're going to learn how to actually take care of a tree. Most people don't know. Do you know? Most people don't know how to even recognize a problem. So we'll be doing things there. There will be benefits and rewards to participating in the community. There will be public awareness. I have 15 years of marketing experience, so the idea of PRing it and promoting it will then actually perpetuate the cycle and bring in even more people and continue on the spiral of expansion, powered by tech. So yeah, Rome wasn't built in a day. I know this is very ambitious and things will change. There's a lot of questions that I need to research. There's a lot of partners and people to talk to. But Rome wasn't built in a day, but they laid bricks by the hour. So I'm trying to break things down, activities into specific bricks and asking myself, what's my brick today? And then hopefully I'll be asking the same of the community, what's your brick today? And there will be lots of blood, sweat, and tears because this is a very complicated issue. But there will also be a lot of growth and new horizons and interesting friendships and rewards. And hopefully culture change. And for today, I even launched the website. So we have that ready. So if you guys want to join, feel free to connect on Instagram or Telegram. Check out the website, sign up on email. I will hopefully be talking to more of you about this. And if anybody's interested, I would love to collaborate because there's a lot of questions that we need to figure out to make it happen. That's it.